Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Appreciate everyone that has watched my last two videos and subbed to the channel. I'm glad everybody seems to be enjoying the content lately. Sorry about the mess. I'm actually currently in the process of redoing my K40 laser. I've had this thing for, I don't know, 10 years or so. Anyways, this video is not about that. I was just explaining why my desk is a bit messier than usual. My last video I mentioned about maybe doing a video on how I come up with products and design products and all the products I make. Some of you guys have actually found my Etsy store. I have not linked it on this channel. Upper Left Adventures on Etsy is my Etsy store. I make parts, like I said, for some of them are Lone Peak Overland specific. They're a camper builder out of Wenatchee, Washington. That's the camper I have on the back of my truck. And I make parts for those campers, but a lot of my stuff is universal. A big thing with Overland guys to mount shovels and stuff, people like to use quick fists. I don't know why it's so hard for me to say that. Quick fist mounts. The major reason is because these are very inexpensive. The Overland tax over the last couple of years has quadrupled prices of everything, and it's outrageous what some companies charge for their stuff. Quick fists have been around a very, very long time. They're just rubber. They're rubber pieces that you can mount shovels to and everything. This project has been on my back burner. I've actually been wanting to make some kind of mount for these to go on the campers, the Lone Peak campers. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you guys my whole process on looking at something or thinking of something, or somebody reaching out to me asking me if I make a product, or if I can make a product, if I can change a product I already make to work for a different product. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some measurements off of this. We're going to jump into Fusion, and then I'll show you guys start to finish on how I do a project. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my camera set up so you guys can see what I'm doing for measurements, and then we'll head up to my upstairs office to my more powerful computer. We'll jump into Fusion, and we'll get some stuff drawn up for this. We'll get it sent to the printers, and then in a couple hours we'll be back after we design it and start printing it, and do some test fits and see what we need to change, and continue to reprint stuff until everything's dialed in. Yeah, I'll be right back with you guys. All right. Usually I would do this sitting at my computer upstairs. I obviously have to change it up a little bit so I can show you guys what I'm doing. Usually I would just have this at my computer, which I will take this upstairs. We'll do this down here in this office. We'll go upstairs and we'll just do a screen recording up there. But what I do basically is, I've told you guys, I think in one of my last videos, you could put this on a scanner if you really want to, and scan it to your computer, which I do sometimes for mounts, but this one is going to be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take our calipers here. These are just some Ultratech General stainless steel calipers I've had for, I don't know, 10, 15 years. All I've ever had to do is replace batteries. So right now we're at 21.8 millimeters, so we'll call that 22 millimeters. So what I kind of do usually is just draw what I'm kind of going after. So we'll do 22 millimeters. And then what we're going to do here is we'll do the length. So we're right at 70 millimeters. So we'll do 70. And what I was doing here, so some companies make a metal mount for these, and they use these two holes on the sides to mount to. I don't like that because part of the flexibility in these is in this bottom rubber. And if you mount these, this becomes very rigid. I used to have a mount. It still works. That adds complexity. That adds more hardware, which raises price. Everything raises price. And everything I do, I try to make as cheap as I physically can for everybody in the community. And I've ran these for years and years and years. So you can see this is one I've used very much. So they have a bolt down the middle, and that's actually how they show to mount them a lot of the times. So we're just going to use a single bolt. But to make this stronger, I was sitting there looking at it, and I think we can design this into the mount, and so we can slide this into the mount, and it basically locks it in on the front, which adds a little more stability there, and it'll lock it down. So we'll have, basically it'll be keyed in on the front. This will slide in. This will slide in, and then it'll have a bolt down the center to keep it there. So what I'm going to do, I think, here is what we'll do is we'll close these, zero them back out. I think we'll go up, I don't know, maybe to the bottom of this here. So we'll go, let's say 10, that's 10.4 from the bottom to the bottom of this. Let's go 10 millimeters. So we'll go 10 millimeters up. And then we're going to do the same drawing. So we're still going to be 22 millimeters wide, because that's the same, that's all the way up is 22 millimeters. It's square, it's not tapered on the sides. But we're going to go up 10. So we'll go up 10. I'll kind of mark that. I don't know if you guys can see that. But then what we're going to do is I'm going to take another measurement here. Now we're at, let's make sure we're right where we need to be. Right now we're at about 67 millimeters. So we're going to go 67 millimeters. So we're going to make two drawings in Fusion. We're going to do 22 by 70 on the bottom. We're going to go up. We're going to go up 10 millimeters. And then we're going to do another square that's 67 by 22. So this basically kicks in. Doesn't seem like much, which it is not. You know, 3 millimeters is very small. But it goes in 3 millimeters, and that'll give us a kick-in spot to mount this into and slightly lock in the front edge and give us just a little more strength for absolutely no cost in extra hardware or anything, instead of just making this a square that it slides down into. So let's see here. I think that's all the measurements we need off of. This is center. So this is center. So right in the middle, we're going to do 35 millimeters up and down. And I think I'm going to use an M5 bolt to screw this in. And I've got heat inserts. This is an M4 heat insert, but when you buy these, if you buy them online, usually they'll have the measurements either on the package you get or they'll be on the listing. I always take three measurements, I guess. So I always measure the bottom lip, 5.3. I measure where the knurls are on the side. So that's right at basically 6 millimeter. And then I measure the height. These are short ones, so they're only 4 mils. They come in a million different sizes and lengths. They have long ones. This is a 1/4 obviously quite a bit longer from the M4. But I also carry these are also M4, same size. But this is the difference between like short ones and long ones. If you've got the room, the long ones, you're going to have a better hold on the inside of your print, obviously. But I've got my M5 ones up in my office, so we'll go upstairs and measure it, and then we'll jump in Fusion and we'll design this mount with you guys. And like I said, all you need is the measurements of what you're making a mount for or whatever you're doing. This should apply basically for anything. I needed the measurements from this, and I also need measurements to whatever I'm trying to mount it to. If it's just going to be a flat mount, but this I'm actually designing to mount on the corner top edge of the campers, which is at an angle. And luckily, I already make a mount for the top edge for Starlink, full-size Starlinks that slide in here. So I already have these angles saved and where the hole position needs to be. I know that unfortunately, you're going from the edge to the roof. You would expect this to be a 45, but this is actually the side of the camper to the corner. This is actually a 40-degree angle, and then there's a 60-degree angle to the roof. This is level with the roof. This is 60 up here. This is 40 here. So my plan is to actually make a mount that I can have the mount sit kind of at a 40-degree angle, or if you flip the mount over, you'll be able to mount it completely vertical on the side of the camper and hang off the side versus kind of stick up over the edge here. But it should be universal because I'll be able to make this angle and you'll be able to just rotate the mount. So let's go up into Fusion, and this will make a lot more sense once we're in Fusion. We'll get this modeled. We're in a new project in Fusion. We're going to start a new sketch. And on here, we're going to do a rectangle. That is, like we've measured, let's see here, 70 millimeters by 22 millimeters. The next one we're going to do is the same width, but this one is going to be 67 millimeters by 22 millimeters. Then the easiest way for me that I've found, and again, fusion is one of those things, I'm sure there's one right way to do it, but there's a million ways to do the same thing that the one right way does. And the easiest way I found is I'm going to select this. And since this is built off the same point, I cannot move this around. If I try to move this, it'll move everything. So the easiest way I found is I double click it so it creates that box. Control C, Control V for copy and paste. Turn it sideways, and we're going to go up 10 millimeters. And then we're going to go back here, over to the side slightly. Double click that and delete it so that that bottom one is completely gone. And then we're going to double click on this bottom one, and we're going to go up here and do an offset shape. And I think we're going to do maybe 3 millimeters. And this is going to give us a lip. So now we have the bottom, which is the base of the quick fist. This one that's above it, this 10 millimeter one, is the inset where it's going to key itself into. And then this lip all the way around. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit finish sketch. We're going to click the outside and the inside body down here. We're going to hit extrude. We want this to be 10 millimeters, that's the height of everything. I turn the sketch off, so we'll turn the sketch back on. I will select the top sketch and the bottom sketch, which is going to be our insert. And the fastest way I've been able to do this is I hit loft. So I selected two faces, two parts of the sketch. Loft creates a body between the two sketches. Make sure that this is set at cut, and I hit OK. And now it is cut the shape that I need. I will turn this sketch off. Actually, we'll turn this sketch back on. And now we'll go here and here. We'll hit extrude again, and we'll probably go negative. Let's see here. So the depth of my heat inserts, I'm using the M5 heat inserts. I'm looking at the packages in front of me here. I'll try to, if I remember, post a photo right here so you guys can see what I was talking about, but it gives me all of the measurements on here. It says that the height is, I need a 10.5 millimeter hole minimum. So 10.5 millimeters. And I think I want probably, how much space do I want behind it? We'll do 2 mil. So we'll do a 12.5 millimeter. Now I can turn the sketch off. And since we've gotten this far, I'm going to go ahead and save it. So I have the first save of the project. We'll name this quick fist mount Lone Peak. Yep. So now what I want to do, we're going to put a hole on this face here, dead center. And there's a couple ways you can do this. So I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a point in the center of the shape that I'm putting it in. Another way you can do it is you can click on surrounding walls or reference points, and I can see it's 0.433 inches on each side, and I can do the same to the top. So 1.378 and 1.378, so I know it's centered. We're going to do counter bore. Here we're going to do, this is where we'll need the specs of the heat insert. So the width of the hole, which is also on the package, it says it's 6.3 millimeters. The width of the knurling is 7.1 millimeters. And I only want about, let's go just a 1 millimeter lip. And so what that's going to do, oh yeah, and we're going to do this. The height we'll do 10.5 millimeters. And so now you can see we have a bit of a step lip. I'll hit OK. And so what this little step here is going to help me do is when I put my heat inserts in, it'll give me a place to put the heat insert that it'll set slightly in the hole so I can get everything aligned before I melt it into the part. And then the inside diameter of this hole here is 6.3 millimeters, which is what it says it needs to be for the heat insert. So we're good there. So now we have this part. We're going to hit save again. Just remember to save as much as you can. So now we have just a basic square that it'll key into, place for the heat mount, or the heat insert. And so the next thing I'm going to do, this is where measurements of this is the measurements of the part we're putting in, the quick fist. The next thing I need to figure out is measurements for the lone peak. And so what I'm going to do here, first we're going to create a new sketch. We're going to go off of this side face. And again, the keyed part is right here. And I want that in the corner. So we'll leave it there. I'm going to line out just a random length line, doesn't matter, just to start here. I'm going to go to another project that I build, which is a Starlink mount. This is so you can have a place to put your Starlink when the camper is down and when the camper is up. But what I'm going to use off of this part is this here. This I already have the profile of the side of the camper already drawn up in another project. And so instead of going out and measuring again, I'm just going to pull measurements off of this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to measure 2 points. So we're at 46 millimeters. And then I know that this here is 130. We have 130 here. So we have a 50-degree angle from here to get to 180. And then we have a 40 here. So 50 and 40 is 90, half of a square, half of a 180, obviously. So 130 degrees and 46 millimeters here. So on here, easiest way to do this, we're going to type in 46 millimeters. So that's where my point needs to start. And then we need 40 degrees. I know it's 40 degrees. And we're going to attach to the line. I can hit T for trim that off. Turn all these off too. Don't care about that line either. All right, so now we have 46 millimeters. 46 millimeters. And this one's almost identical, 46.6, which is cool. So I'll be pretty even with everything. And we can also check 130 degrees. All right, so now that we've got all this done, keyed parts here. So I'm going to hit finish sketch. I'm going to extrude this. Easiest way, I need it extruded to this face. Hit OK. You'll notice this line here. Sometimes it won't be an issue, sometimes it will. You zoom in far enough, and you realize that that is part of the face, that little tiny space. It can't extrude that exact. Easiest way I found, again, there's probably a correct way to do this. A million different wrong ways that still get the same result. The way I fix this is I just extend this just slightly past the wall. Then I go to the back side, and I click on this face here, hit delete, and now we're exactly flat. Okay, so now we've got our shape. The next thing we need to do, so I use M8 bolts because it's M8 T-track T-nuts. So this hole here, 8.2 millimeters in diameter. And from this point to this point, 17.9 plus half of 8.2, so 4.1. So that goes up to 22 millimeters from the corner to the center of this hole, 22 mils. So on here, what we're going to do We can do one of two ways. So we can either go here to here and see that this is 46 minus 22 is going to be 24 mils. From the top, on this side, we're going to do a hole. You drag it to the center just so you know it's centered left to right. I'm going to click here. We're going to do 24 millimeters. Counter bore, and since I'm doing this for an M8 bolt, this needs to be 8.2 millimeters. And I want it sunk down. I use button head bolts, and that's 16 millimeter head size. And we're going to do, let's do a 1/4 inch deep. I'll make sure we've got plenty of space here. I'll make sure that this goes all the way through. We should be good there. Let's hit OK. And then just to double check, we'll come back here, inspect from the corner to the bolt, 17.9 millimeters. And we're going to do the exact same thing here. First, I want to make sure that this is not too big. 6 millimeters, that should be fine. So here, we're going to do a hole here. This one's going to be slightly different. So 22 millimeters, 0.551, 551 is center. This 22 millimeters. We're going to go back here. I don't want counter sunk or counter bore. It's still going to be 8.2 millimeters. And then I want this to go all the way through. Hit OK. And then we'll check again. Here to here, 17.9. Here to here, 17.9. So they're exactly the same. And this will be another one of those. I'm sure that it's that there's a correct way to do this and my way to do this. But now what I want to do, because you can't put, and if you can, I haven't found a great way. You can create another plane that's off center, but you can't put a hole sideways, which is why I didn't do a counter bore from this side, because it needs to go 40 degrees this way. So the easiest way I found here is we'll create a new sketch. We'll click on this face. I will hit C for circle, go to the center of the circle, and see how the lines go to the center here. And when you're at the center of a circle, you get that there. And when you're at the center of a wall, or a corner of a wall, you'll get a square. And when you're at the center of a line, you'll get a triangle. So we'll start there. We'll do 8.2 millimeters. Oops, I'm sorry about that. So we'll do 16 millimeters. Okay, finish sketch. We're going to click on this. We'll do extrude. I'll do it from the side so you guys can see it. We'll do two-sided. This one we're going to go all the way through. And then this one we'll do -6 millimeters. I believe that's what this top one was. 6.15. So we'll do -0.15 millimeters. Now this should be 6 millimeters. Yep, 6 mil and 6 mil. So now the holes are in the same spot on different faces. This one's obviously at an angle. We have this one here, and then the heat insert. So now all that's left to do on this part that I could see visually right now is we can go through and add a fillet to all of the corners. This one possibly, let's see, back. So this is a 5 millimeter radius. But I think we could probably get away with that on this one as well. Do 5 millimeters. Okay. And then the rest of these, you could probably get away with 0.1 inches, but 0.05 inches is the fillet size that works best on my printer on the print bed without supports on the corners. And so 0.05. And so to get everything to match with that, I'm just going to go through and basically do everything on here 0.05. So you can click on the face, or you can click on each edge. We'll do here, 0.05. Okay, and so that gives us a 0.05 radius edge on everything. I'll hit OK, so it kind of clears up the screen for you guys. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same on just this single one. And then we're going to do that on the inside top edge. And on the quick fist, the bottom end corners, it'll have a slight radius. So I can do a little bit bigger than that on that one. All right. And then the last thing to do is we're going to create another sketch. We're going to go to create text. This is how I brand all of my parts. Type in ULAG, which is that. I always use Cocoa Goose text, and I kind of just change the text size to fit whatever I'm doing, and then I space out the characters slightly just so it's not terrible. I make sure it's centered and centered. That'll put it directly in the center here, and then I'll hit Finish Sketch. We'll go up to Create, Emboss, select the text, select the face I want it on, and I always do it the same distance, negative 0.2 millimeters. So it's just enough to get it imprinted in there, but not super deep. And yeah, so we're going to hit save one last time, hit OK. We're going to go to Utilities, hit Make, click on the part, save it as a 3MF. Okay. You could do other ones, but 3MF is the best. That carries over all the settings. We'll do Quick Fist LP Mount. Okay. And then, all right, so next we'll open up Bamboo Studios. We'll create new project. We'll drag over the mount. We'll hit auto orient. Okay, so there's our part. This part's going to have some threaded inserts in it, so I'm going to raise that up to about 4 walls. We'll do 20% infill. I never use grid, but I don't also use bamboo, so it's not saved on what I usually use. Usually crosshatch is what I use for a part like this, or adaptive cubic is what I do with parts that I don't have any threaded inserts and that don't really have any load on them at all. And so we're going to hit slice plate. Oh, I forgot. We need to turn supports on. I could probably bridge that without an issue, but I want this as clean as I can get it. So we're going to hit enable supports. All right, and we'll go over the line type. I don't like the way that this is, so we're going to go back. We're going to click on the part. We're going to go up here where you can add support paintings. Go to the paint bucket. I'm going to zoom in on this hole. I'm going to right click so it turns red, that whole hole, which does this whole face. And then we'll slice plate again. Perfect. So now there's no weird, nothing weird there. Hour and 30 minutes, 33 cents for the part and materials. So I'm going to send this to the printer, and then I will see you guys downstairs in about 2 hours once everything's dialed in, hour and a half, 2 hours. And we'll see what the fit looks like. All right, guys, been a little while. We're down at my office. There's the part. We'll get it pulled off the printer here. And let's get you guys set up here. So there's the part. You guys can see, I need to change that slightly. But let's check the fitment here. Nice and tight fit. Remember, we made that, this is at a slight angle here. That keys in. You can see if it was like that, it wouldn't fit. Keys in, bend it slightly to get it down. Nice tight fit on there. That's awesome. So next, this is what I was talking about on the heat insert packs. A lot of them have specs if you buy this brand especially. I get these on Amazon, but 6.3 mils. It says technical depth, you should have a 10.5 hole, minimum of 2.6 millimeter sidewall on each side, opening of 6.4 mils, 6.3 on the bottom, 7.1 mils on the end of the side of the knurling. So we'll heat up, turn on our heat press insert tool, basically a cheap soldering iron. We'll grab, all we need is just one of these. And I also picked up these M5 machine head bolts, slightly bigger head, so that they don't pull through. But I think what I'm going to do, these are actually, I don't think these are going to be long enough. Oh well, we'll test it out and see, and then I'll order some longer screws. Probably get some kind of a washer to put in eventually, like a fender washer for M5s. Those will screw in there nice though. So yeah, so that's the heat insert. That's why I put the lip on there, so we can get it pushed in there slightly so it stays in place while we try to push the heat insert tool in, as it falls over a million times. So we'll push that down in there. Just turned on, so this is not very hot yet, which is fine. Ideally, you want to let that heat up all the way. Try to get slightly below the top edge there. All right, so that's how the heat inserts work. I'll shut that off because I've left this on for days before. I usually have it, I don't know if you guys can see it, I'll tilt you guys a little bit. I usually have it in this to go directly down. All right, and then while we're waiting for that to just to cool down a little bit, check to make sure that we're good with, oh yeah, got plenty of space there. Nothing sticks out. Got plenty of space for a T-nut there. These are the Lone Peak T-nuts, proprietary Lone Peak T-nuts. Perfect. All right, so again, key that on. Put that on there. All right, there we have it. And I already know that this fits because this, I actually already made these. I did this, I think 2 or 3 days ago, but after I made it, I was like, you know, I told people I'd make a video on how I design a part, so I completely redid the design the exact same way, basically, that I already had it done. To show you guys how I do parts. So this part is basically ready for production. I am going to have to get a couple more size bolts to see if I can figure out what size bolt. These are, I believe, 16 mil, or at least that's what I ordered. And now that I'm looking at them, I don't think that they are. Let's see. Yeah. These are 16 mil. These are not 16 mil. These are probably 10 or 12 mil. It says I ordered 20 millimeter. And I know for a fact those aren't 20 millimeter because this is 16 millimeter as well. So I did order the correct size. They sent me the wrong size. So I will be returning these and I will be getting the correct. This is what I ordered right here, 16 mil. I'll be returning those. We'll be getting the correct ones. They're not up on my Etsy when you guys see this video because now I'm waiting on the correct size bolts. But once I get those on, these will be up on Etsy. So after these, usually there's a price, two different prices, with or without hardware. I'll probably sell these individually and in a 2-pack, and with and without hardware. The time I had into it, this is like my 5th or 6th design. These will probably be up there probably for $7 to $10 a piece without hardware, and then hardware I just charge cost for, so it'll come with one bolt, one T-nut, so you don't use both holes at the same time, you only use one. So it'll probably be $7 or $8 without hardware per, and probably I think it's $1.35 with hardware added, so it'd be like $9. Around $9 with hardware each, and then I'll offer a discount. So it's like, so we'd say we do like $9 with hardware. I wouldn't sell them $18 for two. I'd probably sell them for probably like $17 or $16.50. Saves people some money if they buy more than one. But yeah, again, I appreciate all you guys. Hopefully this answered some questions for you guys on how I kind of think up designs. Like I said, that's been on my back burner. I've had these quick fists on my shelf for a couple years. I used to use them in my old setup. I had a few designs I tried that worked okay, but didn't work great. And so I had a few people reach out to me asking me if I had any plans or if I had made any quick fist mounts. And I decided to work on it since I had a little bit of free time this week. But yeah. And then I also have, I'd have to go through sometime and show you guys, I have a giant box of stuff that I made that I either didn't like or that I just never decided to produce. One of those actually is right here. Let's see here. These here, which will kind of bring it back to tell you guys like how some of my stuff comes about. So I offer, if you're in the automotive side of things, Wolfbox is like a digital rear view mirror. It has a camera you put behind your vehicle, and it replaces your rear view mirror with a screen so you can see behind you. A lot of guys with campers and stuff use them because you can't see through all your windows by the time you get a camper on the back. Have an interior built. If you go to my other channel, Upper Left Adventures, I have a full interior in my camper, so I can't see out my windows. So when I first got my camper, I came up with a couple different, this is an interior mount. This mounts, the reason it's U-shaped is a wiring harness for the taillight goes through the middle there, but this goes right above the rear window and you mount, you can see it's got a hole for your wire and then it's got 3 little tiny holes for the screws to the Wolfbox camera. I came up with that. I offer that. It's one of my very first products I offered. I also offered just a simple one for the exterior in case people got one without a back window. The other one goes inside the camper. This one goes on the outside. Same thing, has 3 holes, has a little wiring thing so you could hide the wiring coming out of the back of your camper. I had a guy reach out to me last year asking if I could make a similar mount to mount onto a Prinsu roof rack that uses basically 2040 extrusion, basically the same as this. I actually used to have a Prinsu rack on my truck, so I actually had a Prinsu to go take measurements off of. So I took the rear camera, I added a base to it with 2 holes, and those 2, I guess I could show you guys on this, those line up with the extrusion on a Prinsu is slightly bigger than this. Sorry, Prinsu is slightly bigger than this. It's 20/20 spacing, but it's actually quite a bit bigger. It's they use 1 inch and 2 inch, so this is actually 2 inches. As you can see here, 2 inches. And then those holes line up with that. just something simple, you know. I hadn't thought about. Guy reached out to me. I made it for him. He sent me pictures, and everything was kosher. He paid me for my materials and my time. Didn't think anything of it. I meant to add it to my Etsy, and I just didn't. And then like 6 months later, I think he made a post like on Tacoma World or something. He drives in Tacoma, and other people saw it, and I got a request from somebody via Etsy message saying, hey, sent me some photos, said, hey, this guy on the forum posted that you made this for him, but I don't see it on your Etsy store. And I had totally forgot about it. I mean, this was like 5-6 months past. I put them on my Etsy store that night. I put them on my Etsy store, and I think I've sold over 100 of those mounts in the last 6 months or so. And they're fairly inexpensive. Those are, I don't remember what I have those for, like $10 or something like that maybe. And I've sold a ton of them. And it's just one of those things, kind of, you don't know what's going to sell until you post it and see if anybody likes to use it. Worst case, you're out your time and a few dollars in materials to get it made and posted and tested. But sometimes it can take off, you know. It's just one of those things, you know. It's like this here. Simple, kind of. The measurements for these brackets were next to impossible to make. This is an insert for the fridge on my travel trailer. We've got a E-Pro travel trailer, a 17-foot trailer. It had pop can holders. You can hold 4 pop cans in the door. I don't drink soda. I drink Celsius energy drinks every once in a while, but they don't fit in the soda can holders. So it's kind of wasted space on the door. This replaces the soda can holders. Those brackets slide into the brackets that the soda can holders were in, and it adds a pretty decent sized cubby into your fridge. Something that I came up with. I sold a couple the first week I made them. I'm not active on my travel trailer forum anymore, and I haven't sold a single one since. But, you know, it was something that I needed, which is what 90% of this stuff is stuff I needed or I wanted. I designed it, made it, asked people if they were interested, and they sold. Take this, for example. This is a remote control holder for the RV. The RV comes factory with a TV and a radio. Both have controllers. I used to lose them all the time. I made this so I wouldn't lose my controllers. I don't think I've sold a single one of these. But, you know, it's something I needed, and I carry a couple in stock. They're on my Etsy store, and if somebody randomly one day comes across it and wants it, I've got it in stock, and it'll be shipped to them. There's a few products I've had that failed, but most of them have been pretty decent because it's practical stuff, and I post on the forums asking if it's something that people would use before I add them on my Etsy store. Like this, I figured, you know, maybe 1 or 2 people would want it. I've got like 30 people asking me when they're going to be on my Etsy store, so those will be on Etsy in a couple days, and hopefully they'll sell well. Leave any questions you have for me down in the comments. I appreciate all you guys for subscribing. This channel's growing pretty decently fast, a lot faster than my other channel did. But yeah, if you got any questions, let me know. If not, I'm going to try to upload once a week. So hopefully I'll see you guys next week.